Reasons why I, a fat person, never want to go to a gym again, part 12. For context, I was on the elliptical, and yes, I did have headphones in, although I could still kind of hear what was going on around me. Hey, so, it looks like all of the treadmills are taken right now. Should we just use one of the ellipticals? Only fat people use ellipticals because they're too fat to use treadmills. Look. Yeah, I guess you're right. Guess we can just wait for a treadmill to open up then. Yeah, exactly. Should we take a selfie? Here, let's go this way. What do you think?
Oh boy. I don't know where to start, but for starters, did this event happen? I don't know, maybe it didn't, but this is something that I often see with these fat acceptance creators, who think that everyone is constantly looking at them, judging their every move, and this just isn't a healthy mindset. I understand the anxiety of thinking that someone is talking about you. For example, I have a bad habit of thinking that if someone near me laughs, they're somehow laughing at me, but you really have to be rational about this and do what's best for your mental health. Most people in the gym are there to work on themselves and are in their own zone. They don't care about what others are doing, how their clothes, how big or small they are, the color of their hair. While working out, you're mostly focused on what you're doing, and if someone is judging you for that, I would honestly judge them for doing that. As I said, the majority doesn't care, but the ones that do are just a bunch of entitled a-holes that you have nothing to prove to, and who cares about what they think. To be honest, people are more likely to look at them weirdly rather than someone minding their own business and working hard. Also, the elliptical versus treadmill debate. While I'm sure that some people think one is better than the other, they both have many pros and cons, and if one works better for you, why should others care?
Don't say that.
The text on the video says, "Fighting the urge to reply and you're ugly for a skinny girl." Honestly, I don't even know what to say to this. It's just rude. I understand the frustration when you get an unwanted comment, but fighting fire with fire doesn't resolve anything. And if someone is rude to you because of your appearance, it's better to just walk away from such a relationship.
Oh yeah, this one's a doozy. This one's a real doozy to get your mind around. Because we want to believe that the medical community isn't impacted by diet culture nonsense, but they are, because the worldwide diet industry is a $2.5 billion industry every year. And here in the US, it's only $78 billion. So there's a lot of money globally that is made from perpetuating anti-fat stigma. We want to believe that the doctors and the healthcare workers are above the stigma and that they're devoted to science. And I think individually they are, but there's no way that the research and the messaging and the propaganda isn't getting involved and embedded into the healthcare system. And this is just one little piece of evidence to show that. Follow the money.
Of course, everything is connected, but if we're going to use that argument of the diet industry being worth $250 billion, well, the fast food industry is worth $800 billion, so I don't think that's a fair argument. Also, not every creator, company, and person do what they do for profit. Many of them want to help people improve and live a better, healthier life because yes, health and weight are very closely connected. Are some doctors and other health workers biased against fat people? Yes. But most of them are just doing their job, which is improving your health, which is, as I said, related to health. Just writing them off because they don't fit into your agenda isn't only contemptuous, but also very dangerous. And if you really believe that all the research and everything is fabricated just because some people want to stigmatize the fatness and fat people, I don't even know what to say.
No, because let's talk about this. It's mostly white families that do this shit. Ever heard of multiple generation homes? I'm also Hispanic. On my dad's side, my grandpa lived with us for many, many years. The side of the family that wants to kick me out is my white side. Also, an even bigger point, do not have kids if you think there's an expiration date for taking care of them. I stand firm in the belief that you can't just kick your kid out once they turn 18. When you have a kid, you sign up to take care of them for life. Now, that's not to say they're going to be enabling. I'm a full-time student about to get my master's. First generation, actually. Parents absolutely have an obligation to their children. Honestly, letting them live in the smallest bedroom in your house while they pay every single one of their own bills and the family pet's bills, that's the minimum.
The comment says, she's 23, an adult. They owe her zero financial obligation, so she's lucky to live with them. My immigrant parents would never tolerate her. With the inflation and the rising cost of living, I don't think it's fair to judge someone for still living with their parents, but what you can judge them for is not having any sort of income and not contributing anything to the household. Of course, there are very valid exceptions to this, but that is not the case with this creator. Of course, there is no expiration date on parenting, but it evolves from your children being completely dependent on you to them being independent and living their own lives, creating careers, and their own families. You can't expect to be taken care of forever.
I see that you're following me, so I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt on this one. Fat liberation is not new. I didn't come up with it. It is something that fat people have been talking about for years and years and years. If you're on this corner of the internet, that means that you are in some way interested or deeply connected to queerness and specifically transness. There are lots of queer and trans folks that are fat. One of the things that's wrong with our culture is that we care more about people like me who fit the media ideal body type way more than we care about fat people. Our society is structured to be anti-fat, and I think it's wrong that just because of someone's body size that they deal with systemic marginalization. In the same way that it's wrong that because of my gender identity or my sexual orientation, I am also systemically marginalized. None of us are free until all of us are free, and fatness still seems to be one of the last socially acceptable forms of discrimination, and that's wrong. If breaking down systems that dehumanize other people, in this instance fat people, is too much for you, why?
I don't think society is built any fat, it is built on average. In the same way that the fat people aren't gonna be most comfortable in some places, people who are out of the ordinary, such as those really tall or small, wheelchair users, and people with other disabilities experience the same things. Should we build more accessible and accommodating buildings? Yes, but there is just no way to accommodate everyone. Someone is going to be left out, but still, we have to strive to do better. So no, I don't agree with the rhetoric that because a chair is too small or a medical professional giving an honest diagnosis means that society is anti-fat.
I really get so sick of people not understanding why we do this. This isn't about creating a hierarchy of fatness. This is about discussing that there are complexities to oppression that people deal with, and that those of us on the bigger side of the spectrum deal with more oppression than those of you on the small end of the spectrum. There is a very palpable difference between how I was treated when I weighed 250 pounds and how I am now treated at 440 pounds, especially by doctors in the medical community. Stop eliminating our ways of explaining that we deal with more oppression in ways that smaller fat people don't. This isn't about hierarchies, it isn't about infighting, it's about pointing out the severity of oppression. Educate yourself.
The first TikToker basically said that they don't want to be put in some sort of group, which is completely valid. If you don't want to be put in a group simply because you don't care about it, know what it is about, or just don't identify with it, that is all right. And I think that the fatness spectrum is at least in some form hierarchical. And people should be forced to be a part of a group, become an advocate, or anything similar just because of their bodies and just because someone wants them to. The world doesn't work like that. Let people live their lives. For a group preaching about how skinny and mid-sized people are all up in their business, they sure like to insert themselves and their opinions where they're not needed.